Hi, welcome to Craft Camp, and this is Donna. Today we're going to be making an all occasion card. The products you'll need are cardstock, glue, glitter, markers, and any background paper you'd like. So here's my 110 pound Georgia Pacific cardstock that I picked up at Walmart for $5, 150 pages. Fold it lengthwise. And to get a nice crease, you can use a bone folder or a scoring tool. Here, I just used the back of my scissor handle. And then I cut it to 5.5 inches with my cutting tool. Or you could use scissors. Don't need anything fancy for this. So I cut it in half, basically the 11-inch page, and have 2 cards to work with then. So I'm showing here the products I'm be using is the glitter and the glue all. The glue all was about $3, and I think it was $2.50 at Walmart, and the glitter I picked up at Walmart as well, and they were $3 a piece for 2.5 ounces. I picked out some markers here. The one I'm using is a tan alcohol ink marker, and it gives a little texture with the lines and stuff and overlapping, and you can layer it for depth of color. So I really enjoy using that. I just freehanded the shoreline, and then I have an assortment of blues to work with for the ocean. And you can go back over it again to get darker areas where the wet sand would be instead of the dry sand with the waves crashing in. And this is going to be a pretty calm sea. Here I'm using my lighter blue to indicate the shallower water, and it is not a very strong marker. It's not real wet, so there I sketched out the horizon line. The horizon will be straight even if your shoreline is not. And I picked out another color. I think I switch here to this darker blue for a little more depth in the water where it gets deeper. And that one was wetter. It gave me a better coverage. Those pens are Crayola Super Tips, and they're really great. I've had no problem with them except for that one getting a little dry, but that's probably from use. And my 3-year-old son has used them, and we haven't had a problem. Here I'm using a blue alcohol ink I was trying to blend, but I'm filling in some of the white spots, just giving it a little different color. So just trying things. So it's going to be covered by glitter, so it's not a big deal. They're not going to see the flaws. And here I'm adding a little more of my tan. And if you have multiple colors, you could definitely do this with your watercolor, your watercolor markers. But here I picked out my sunset colors now, and so I want like an ombre, of course, in the water and in the sand and in the sun. So um, the sand is monochromatic, and then the blues are monochromatic, and then the sun is going to have yellows, oranges, pinks, and purples. So, and do all the background first so that you're not gluing on and having wet glue and trying to work something else on top of that. And you're not, if you don't like what you've created on the base layer, you can start again without having wasted any glitter or glue. And sometimes it helps to do it upside down if you're not getting a real good vibe. The one thing I would do on this would be put my first layer in, which is my yellow there, for my sunset specifically, and then work with my purples, which is going to be the outside shadow, or outside shade, I'm sorry, and then come together so that I get more of an even dimension. And if I want more blues and purples in the very back, I could do that and make it even a smaller sunset. But this is real nice. I'm switching there between, I'm using the alcohol inks and, or the alcohol markers here, and that's a blending tool. And I wasn't getting a lot of blending because I don't know why, if it was the two different alcohol inks, maybe the the white barreled one didn't have as much alcohol in it. Um, the ones that are black barrel, I have no problem with. I love those. So I found some. These are actually all purchased. All the alcohol inks were purchased on sale. They were like clearancing out at Hobby Lobby some of these, and so I tried several different brands. Then I picked up a watercolor pen and decided I would try to wet the surface of the cardstock, which is not a great idea because it causes warping, which I ran into, to bleed out that coral that I was using. So I went yellow, orange, 2 shades of orange, and then to a coral to kind of blend into a pink, but it just didn't want to blend. I got more blending out of the pink marker, but it was, you'll see. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It was the first try, and I really did like it. One other option would be to pull ink with your paintbrush, your wet paintbrush, off of your pen, and then on your watercolor pen only, not alcohol pens, because you'll mess up your tips if you put water on it. But again, here's my purple, and that's a watercolor as well. And again, you can layer them. I know I went over this a couple times with the purples to get different shade or hues, tones. Anyway, so just to get a variation of those purple colors, and blended and blended and blended. So it was very enjoyable, actually. I like coloring, so the sunset was really nice to do. There I went and straightened out the horizon line and just made it real crisp with the orange. And here it's time to put on the glitter. So I put on a bunch of glue. I put on way too much glue. You don't need a lot, just a thin coating. So I spread that around, and of course I was dragging the tip on there, so I was getting holes. And that's another way of spreading. You don't get these holes that I got. So I sprinkled on my Caribbean glitter, and then I patted it down a little to try and get it into the glitter, but if you do a thin layer, you won't need to do that. So I tap it off, move it over, put a little more on, and here I'm going to put in a pool of glue and spread it out with my finger, which worked way better. That thin coat was much, much better. So, and the more glue you put on, the longer it takes to dry. And the part is not on here, but when I put on the chunky glitter, I put a whole bunch in the middle, down the center, and then out to the sides where the white caps would be. And that took, because there was so much glue there, it took a couple days to dry, which it shouldn't be that way. I should be able to leave it for a couple of hours, and it's not the glue's fault, it's my fault. So here I have all my Caribbean glitter on, and you can kind of see an ombre, but the glue's still wet, so you can't see it very well here. Pardon me. So I went back to the dark blue area and started smushing the glue around. It did pick up some of that watercolor blue from the ink, from the watercolor marker I used, so that brought that up a little bit. But once the glue dries, you can see all the colors you used, but you can't see the mistakes, so that's awesome. So that is real nice. And this is where I went on to add on the chunky glitter, but I didn't get that part. I think the camera shut off, so battery died. Okay, a few days later after it dried, in those days, and so there's the final thing, but right there in the middle I'm pointing out is where it got real wet. It warped the card. I had some warping from the water, but most of it was from the glue, from the water in the glue. So in those days while I was waiting for it to dry, I created another one. I used all alcohol ink markers on the sunset, and I used the watercolor markers in the middle except where the sunset colors are. And then anywhere where I wanted like a little white cap to be from small waves breaking, I put that chunky glitter. So what I'm showing you here is this nice watercolor, white core watercolor printed paper. It's cardstock. I got it at Walmart in a pad, and it's 50 sheets for $5, and I think I cut that one to 6.5 by 4.5. And no, the other one was 4.5. So anyway, it's a really neat print. You can see the blue there. It looks like it's just a modeled watercolor on it. It's not watercolor paper, it is cardstock. But I'm using this for the background, and mounting them on this, I can now get a store-bought card, set of cards and envelopes, and then glue it to that, so I don't have to worry about it. You can always make a bunch of these toppers and then buy your pre-made cards and envelopes, distress them if you want, add any little coordinating bits if you maybe scruff the edge with your ink pads or something like that, or heck, your watercolor marker. To tie it all together, that would work. So I put the glue on this one just so I could show you how to mount it, and because it was warped, I put a couple of heavier books on there to let it dry, and it worked out just fine. It flattened it out, the glue got it sticking to the page. So there's the final product, and I'm putting inside a page to put my sentiment on, and it could be wish you were here, missing you, even though we're miles away, I know we're still together. Thanks so much for watching Craft Camp. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.